Guys, Josh here from the Sunshine Tribe. I hope you're all well. I hope you're hanging in there. I hope your families are safe. And I hope you're finding a way to navigate this tricky time that we find ourselves in right now. It's been a crazy few months. No doubt the next few months are going to be really, really crazy. Before we begin as an industry and your business begin to bounce back and get into recovery mode. And that's the place I wanted to go today, bouncing back and recovery. Now, down here in Australia, uh, it's been amazing. The number of COVID cases has really, really reduced to literally just a handful every day, 20 or 30 cases a day. Our curve has flattened almost completely, and we're now talking about eradication. So, which is amazing. What that means is here in Australia and other places, New Zealand, there might be other corners of the world that are facing a similar set of circumstances, but it means that very soon the movement, the restrictions on the movement of people are going to be relaxed, and we are going to start to bounce back and recover. Now, when it comes to tours and activities, it's widely accepted that the first thing that we're going to see bounce back is going to be the local market, followed by the domestic or interstate market, and then at some point in the future, it's going to be the international market. So, down here in Australia, we hope to see the local market bounce back really, really quickly. But also that's going to happen quite soon. We hope that's going to happen quite soon if things keep trending the way they are, which is amazing. There's going to be a huge amount of pent-up demand. And a lot of these tour and activity operators that have been really doing it tough, like all of you all over the world have been, maybe faced with the prospect of having a massive, massive surge of business. So that's fantastic. So the big question right now is, are you geared to succeed in the local market? Because if you're not, you really need to be thinking about that now, whether that's developing new products, whether that's iterating or adapting some of the tours and activities that you're already running. The local market's going to bounce back. Hopefully it bounces back really soon, and it should bounce back really, really strongly. So I guess the first question, who's traveling? Now, rather than just create product or adapt your existing products to fit the local market, what we need to do is look more closely at who is going to be traveling, who is going to be taking tours and activities, who's going to be paying for experiences. So this is by no means exhaustive, but a couple of ideas for you to consider. The first would be what you might call the empty nesters or the mature age market, the over 60s market. Now, this is a market that's we're seeing over the last month have gone online in massive, massive numbers. It might have been unthinkable a few weeks ago to consider our grandma or people in that demographic, getting involved in Zoom calls or spending so much time online and getting tech savvy in some ways. So that's a big opportunity right there, the fact that there's so many of that market online. The second thing is that there's going to be a considerable fear about traveling, traveling overseas now. If you're in that demographic, there's going to be personal fear and discomfort about traveling too far away into foreign lands. There's going to be family pressure. There's also going to be issues with regards to insurance. I would imagine that insurance premiums are going to be a lot more expensive than they were. So we're going to find that mature age market have their experiences closer to home and stay quite local. So therefore, they're going to be saving on overseas trips. They're going to have a lot more budget to spend on local experiences, local tours and activities. Students, not a market that a lot of us would have seriously considered, I'm sure, but big opportunities in the student market. What do students do? How do they spend their time in normal circumstances? They're in bars, they're in nightclubs, they're socializing, they're spending money in their local cafes with friends. So right now, students are bored and they have been stockpiling cash because they haven't been having any fun for a long, long time. They might be shopping their little hearts out online, but they haven't been socializing, haven't been spending the same amount of money on travel, bars, cafes, all those kind of things. So if you get your experience right, there's a really big market, a big opportunity right there. Things like activities, zip lining or things like that students might find really appealing. The next market would be family groups. Now, I've got 3 young kids. I'm very fortunate. I live across the road from the beach. I've got a fairly large garden, lots of space for the kids. So we're very, very fortunate, but it's still been really tough. And, we've had to keep them engaged a lot. A lot of people out there in the world are doing it a lot tougher than I've been doing it in my family. And parents have found it really hard to keep their kids engaged. They're bored, they're cooped up, and they are desperate to get out and start having some fun. And added to that, I mean, I look at my own personal family budget, which has literally been slashed in half. I can't believe how much money I'm saving week to week, month to month right now. So there's going to be money in a lot of households, not all, but in a lot of households, money to spend and a real desire to get out and have some fun as a family. On that note, you're also going to find that there's going to be the couples market, that particular segment, desperate to get away from the kids when they have an opportunity to do that and go and do something as a couple, or like a high-end wine night or whatever it is, something that they can get away. They've spent so much time with their kids through this period. And lastly, the corporate market, so local business. Now, have been working remotely a lot through this period and possibly really successfully. It's been shown that a business can be really effective with people working remotely, but there's nothing like human interaction. There's nothing like that connection, that communication, that banter, that getting around people in the office to really have people aligned, have morale, at an optimum, all these kind of things. So when restrictions are relaxed, when the movement of people is allowed, well, we're going to find that a lot of local businesses want to do things like team building activities. They want to do things like reward and recognition, some team events, all these things to boost morale, get people aligned, and get people having fun and inject a bit of energy and enthusiasm into their business again. So there's a few examples for you of the type of people, the type of segments that are going to be wanting to take tours and activities and experiences if they're the right fit for them. So that leads me on to the next point. How do you know that they're the right fit? Well, the first thing you'll need to do is engage with these people. Where are these people hanging out? So first of all, looking for fishing holes. And by that, I mean, where do these people congregate? What sort of Facebook groups are they part of? What clubs, what societies, what blogs are they reading? What buy and sell groups are they part of? Where are you going to be able to engage with your target audience? So once you know that, the best thing that you can do right now is to start showing up, to start providing some value, to start positioning yourself as an authority in your niche or niche, but also to start engaging and finding out what these people actually want in an experience. Now, there's an old adage, ask people what they want and then give it to them. Well, on some levels, yes, but the reality is it's not that simple. And you might have heard of a guy called Henry Ford who said something along the lines of, if I'd asked people what they wanted, they would have told me they wanted faster horses. Or Steve Jobs, who said something again along the lines of, if memory serves me correctly, people don't know what they want until you give it to them. So just simply asking people, hey, would you pay for this? Or what type of experience would you pay for is probably not going to be the best approach. So one thing that can work really, really well is to start engaging with people, be open and upfront. Hey, we're developing a whole range of new X, Y, and Z. I'd just love to know from you, as someone in my target demographic, what are your biggest frustrations or challenges or fears with regards to X, and start extracting information in that way. You're going to get some really meaningful responses by asking this style of question about people's major single largest frustrations or single biggest challenges when it comes to X, or the fears they have when it comes to Y, to really start drilling down into what people would want in a local product. And from that point, you probably, again, need to drill down even deeper. So once you have people coming back to you with responses, rather than just take those and run with them, go back. Wow, that's really interesting. What exactly did you mean by that? Please tell me more. So the deeper you go, the more layers you strip back, the more meaningful the information that you're going to be able to extract from people. And from that point, you can go away and we'll move to the next step. Now, the next step is what I would recommend, and that is to create, you might call it a minimum viable product. So rather than go out there and buy all the gear and put on the extra large coach and all these kind of things, because you have had it from people that this is what they're after, I would recommend a different approach to this, because people, what they tell you is one thing, but when it actually comes to pulling their credit card out and saying take my money, that's a whole different thing entirely. So you might be able to, you might go out to your list and say, hey, I've got these ideas for X, Y, and Z. Based on your feedback, I'm going to create this product that includes A, B, and C. We're launching in a few weeks, and people might say, hey, that's great, wonderful, can't wait to hear all about it. Now, once you've actually done all the development and it comes time for you to send out those credit card forms, all of a sudden it's a different story. There's this thing that's getting in your way, or this is, there's this hurdle, or there's an obstacle there for you signing up and committing. So what you want to do is go to the least possible amount of effort and the least possible cost to create a product. And one of the ways you can do that to create that minimum viable product is with a pre-sale. So getting out there now as a tour operator can be quite easy, especially if you're adapting your tour to fit the local market. You may already have the regional knowledge. You may be across the distances involved in the tour. You may know the supplies. You may have all the elements that you just need to tweak, readjust, repackage, adapt, and all those kind of things. So it may not be a huge amount of effort for you to create that minimum viable product and do a pre-sale. So here it is, I've got the itinerary, here's how it's priced, it's launching on X date, and then putting it out to your audience. Now, you might find that it sells wildly, boom, you're in business. Then you take it to the next level, about getting all the infrastructure in place to deliver the tour at scale. But you may find that when push comes to shove, you're only getting 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 people that sign up, and you feel like you needed 12 or 15 or 20 signups to justify to then go to the next level of development. So then what you would do in that situation is you would email those 2 or 3 or 4 that did sign up, and you would say, listen, I'm really sorry, we're really disappointed. It just didn't have the interest that we hoped. So here's your full refund, and it's back to the drawing board from us to develop it, to get it right, to make sure that it's the right fit for the market. So we'd still love to talk to you about what motivated you to sign up and all these kind of things, but for now, this product won't be, or this tour won't be going ahead. So by that way, you can absolutely guarantee that then when you go to the next step of the effort of actually developing, building, it's going to sell wildly. So hopefully that's helped. If any of you out there have had some success thus far in adapting an experience to really be well geared to the local market, I would love to hear about it. Just hit reply to this email and tell me what you've got going on. I'm sure our community could benefit from your experience as well. So hopefully you got something out of this, and go get them.